Hello, chess friends. Welcome back to uh, chess class. Now, let's finish the checkmates we were doing before. Okay, this is defending precisely and defending out of mate. Now, in these puzzles, they'll give us a couple options. It's a bit sneaky because they'll give you an option that defends but loses, and they'll give you an option that defends and it defends well and safely. Okay, here, the rook on e8 is attacking the king on h8. For the defenses, make sure you see all the way to get at all the different ways to get out of check, and then let's look further. So here, I'm sure a lot of you saw, well, you can simply capture the rook on e8. Another move, and it's the only other move, is to play knight to g8, interposing against it. Shows knight to g8, you've made a good move. You defended for the time against the check. On the other hand, if you wanted to try knight takes e8, and you wanted to grab that rook, big mistake. Queen plays to f8. The game is over. Checkmate. Now let's see what happens. If you play the correct move, knight g8, queen can come back to f8, threatening to capture the knight on g8. Now, does the game go on a little bit? You could try to hang in there and try to check the king. Maybe even come closer and try to get out of this position by continually checking the king, most likely, and try to get a perpetual check. So, you don't want to get beat, but you do want to draw. So you do have to start by not capturing the rook. Instead, make this blocking move and try to hang in there. Okay. I see. That's the one. Okay. Here we are. Getting a little challenging. The knight on d2. Making an attack and putting the king on f1. What do you do? A couple moments. So, I'm sure a lot of you saw knight on b1 capture d2. That's not bad. The only other defenses are king to e1 and king to e1. So let's think about very carefully. We are winning this game. White is winning this. They got 4 pawns, a rook and knight, 4 pawns, a rook, knight, and queen. Okay, 4 pawns, a queen and knight. If you defend correctly against this check, you will be able to rally your troops and come after the king. In fact, if it was White's move, they have checkmate in just 2 moves. And it is White's move, but if they weren't in check. So do you capture right away without thinking about it? What would you do in a game? Would you capture this knight right away? If this was your answer, you've made a big mistake. Now the queen can come down to d1 with a check, and there's no defense. It's checkmate. Before you go just capturing anything that can be taken, we have to look. If you chose king to g1, you made a mistake. The queen can also play one checkmate, backering mate. You play king to e1. You don't allow the queen to play to d1 with a check. Defend the square that the queen's attacking. You're also not worried about the knight takes because you recapture. Everything's safe. There's no check on e4, the queen, because of your queen. There's no checkmate back here. Now black has worries of their own. They have to make sure their king is safe. They have to play a move like this out because there's a checkmate coming if they don't. Now who wins this game? White. White's up a full 5 points with the rook. Try to trade queens. Try to win the game. Well, queen on f6 is checking the king on h8. How does black defend this? Have to get out of check before anything else happens. What do we do? Well, on at first glance, it looks like, oh, you can just take the queen. That's not bad. Taking the queen. Capturing and get out of check, it's definitely worth looking at. If this was your choice, uh-oh, we've made a mistake. Now the bishop on h4 can capture on f6. This is checkmate. The king has nowhere to run and not go to g8. G8's being guarded by the bishop on c4. There's no way to block. Checkmate. You have to find another way. Now the king cannot run anywhere. So the only way to survive this is to play queen to g7, interposing against the check. Now, if queen captures g7, king captures, there's no checkmate. The king is close enough to defend against checkmate. It has more escape squares. Here, the black king is in check. What do? We have to think about this. There's a couple different defenses. Give you a second to think. To see the defenses out of this check. Away, capturing, blocking. Well, I'm sure some of you saw that you can capture the rook. And also, there happens to be one square the king can run to. None of these pieces can be used to block. They're just not in the right squares. So here, the question is, do you take the rook or do you run? Does anybody see the danger of playing the rook here? Every time you capture something, be aware and to see what piece can recapture. Rook takes rook. What piece can recapture the rook? Uh-oh, the queen over here on a5. All the way down the diagonal at the rook. Maybe you didn't see it, maybe you did. And unfortunately for the king, there's no more escape square on f2. This is checkmate. So in this position, although it looks enticing to capture the rook, just run away. Now, you're saying, but what happens if rook takes rook? Well, you have a good move of your own. Checkmate on g7. The rook on a1 was indirectly defended by the queen's checkmate. In other words, black does not have time to take the rook because black they must defend against the checkmate. And now, actually, the king is close enough to the rook that you can play capturing the other rook here. Rook takes rook. Do not capture with your king because this king has a job, and that's to protect the rook. Capture with the pawn. And you say, but you're giving away free pawns. Yes. Actually, before. Take it. Yeah. If rook can take here, capture. And you're saying, but you're dropping a lot of pawns. Yes, you're giving away a few pawns, but black does not have time to take again. Does not have time to take the pawn in c4 because of checkmate. So even though black can clean up a little bit, they're still behind a lot of points here, and they have to defend against it. Okay, black to move. Now, obviously, black's pieces cannot help against the check from queen f7 to the king. They're just not in the right spots to be able to interpose. Block. What do we do here? We have to find ways. Yeah. Well, we have to look for squares to run to. It looks like d6 is a square that's safe. C6 is a safe square to run to. And also c8. Now we found the flight squares for the king, but that's almost the easy part. Now we have to ask and think ourselves, which moves are safe? In other words, if the king does go to c8, is it safe for the king to go here? White's pieces are very active. It means they have a lot of attacks against the king. Even after he get out of check, there's lots of attacks against the king. So between c8, c6, and d6, well, let's look at this. You must be careful you don't walk into what's called a mating net. To play the king here to d6, you're falling into white's checkmate. The pawn, the bishop, and the queen all work together to hash out a supported and assisted mate. I call this an assisted mate because queen plays to d5 check, protected by the pawn. The king cannot run anywhere, and not run to e7 because the bishop is guarding that square. So get out of check, d6 is out of the question. Let's look at c6. The king goes to c6. It's safe here. Well, again, the queen and the pawn are working together. Also notice this. There are two pieces of black's own color surrounding the king. The queen can come right down to d5. It's protected by the pawn. And the king is checkmated. The king is trapped in by its own pieces. Pawn on c7 and the pawn on b6. If these pawns weren't here, it would not be checkmate. This is called harmful material. The king is trapped. Okay. So c6 and d6 out of the question. How about c8? Well, let's look around. The pawn is a little too far away to help the queen now. The bishop is guarding d8. There's a check here. It looks like the king can get out. And there's no more checkmate of any kind. In this position, you'd have to look ahead, pretending this is your game. You have to look a very long time, look at all your options to see where they lead. Oh, this is the one. Okay, guys, that was some puzzles for you. Now, I just wanted to show you something here on ChessKid. I love ChessKid. I think it's just a great site. It's so fun. A little known fact in ChessKids, and I hope that your ChessKid looks more or less like mine. I have a coach's account, but if you go into what's new, and in the kids account, it might be under Learn, but look for the articles section. The articles section in ChessKid is awesome. It's not is full of info about what's happening. It talks about how ChessKids is used all over the world. It announces different video series. Here's an article by an IM from India announcing the finals of ChessKid Speed Chess Championship of India. That'd be a great article to read. Her Move Next. That's the chess for girls. It's a great tournament. Lots of female players start there. Speed chess championships during the summertime on ChessKid. You get to talk to Fun Master Mike. Now here, and articles like this. This is about Carissa Yip. You know, she's you can read about her. She's a young up and coming champion. She's from South Carolina, I believe. You can look at her games. She's coming up. This is Carissa right here. She has amazing games. You can read all about them and follow her. Here she is playing. She's playing Irina Krush. Here she's playing Valentina Ganina. Here she's playing Wen Jianzhu. And they're all young players. She's grandmasters, again, very strong. So this is an articles section. Go into the articles, see where you are. My name is Coach Nathan Chess right here. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you in the